This is the Art of Network Engineering podcast. In this podcast, we'll explore tools, technologies, and talented people. We aim to bring you information to expand your skill sets and toolbox and share the stories of fellow network engineers. Welcome to the Art of Network Engineering. I am AJ Murray. How's it going, fellas?
Yo.
Peachy.
Peachy. Andy, how you doing?
I got bees in my office.
You were saying that.
I've had 6 bees in my home office in the past 5 days. I don't know where they're coming from. I've sprayed liquid death everywhere.
I just got the Tommy Boy image in my head. Andy shaking everywhere. Bees!
I'll be sitting here on a work call and there'll just be a bee walking across my monitor. I'm like, really, bro?
How dare you come in here?
Yeah, that's, I like to let people in on what I'm going through. And right now I'm trying to figure out where these damn bees are coming from before they get to my kids. I think they're living in the walls somewhere, which grosses me out.
Oh, yeah.
Because they say if you're getting bees in your house consistently in a particular room, they're living somewhere. And they're just coming out to say hi. So,
oh man,
yeah. Other than the bees, though, I mean, things are pretty good. Just I got to find these bees, man. How you doing?
I don't have bees in my house.
Any other critters?
not today. So it's like when it comes to the bug thing, like my wife hates bugs, and she particularly hates spiders, and so like 2 or 3 times a year she makes me do like the home spray. So I gotta spray the perimeter of the house, and then if she sees one bug in the house, she's like, AJ, it's time to spray again.
Does she make those eyes?
I was gonna ask that too.
Pretty much.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that's my timer on when I know I have to do the ortho spray again. And so, but I digress. Tim Bertino joining us tonight. How you doing, man?
I am well. I'm super excited to be back here with you guys. It feels like it's been 30,000 downloads or so since I've been here, you know?
I think it had. No.
Well, you're welcome. I probably, my episode probably brought in at least 7 of those. Not 7,000, just 7.
29,000 were episode 31. No, that's not exactly what happened. But
hey, sure Andy, what's a guy got to do to get a screaming goat around here to that statement?
Man.
There it is.
And that signals it's time for the winning segment of our episode.
Here we go.
The winning goat.
The winning goat. I'm telling you, we got to find a company that makes those things to put the AONE logo on it, and then we'll give them away.
We're going to do
Maybe
it.
call the number that, I don't know, the number on the bottom of that thing and see if they'll make one for us. Anyway.
Made in China. It's going to be long distance.
I'm shocked. Let's jump into wins. This week we got a lot of them. I'm super excited because there's a lot of really good ones on here. Starting with Fusion as they go by in the Discord, they accepted a new position working at Verizon as a network engineer. Holy cow. That's huge.
That's a good gig.
Congratulations, Fusion. Send Community passed their JNCIA Junos. Congratulations, Send Community.
Very nice.
I'm not sure the pronunciation on this one, so help me out here, guys.
Full send.
Is it Dub Geezy or Dub Jeezy?
I'm not the right guy to ask that question.
Yeah,
I'm going to say Dub Jeezy for Sheezy. That's what I'm going to say.
All right. Well, Dub Jeezy passed their Nokia ISIS routing protocol exam. So this is an entire exam from Nokia dedicated to the ISIS routing protocol.
That's like service provider stuff, right?
Yeah.
Gotta be.
Totally.
Rock
Totally.
on, man.
So congratulations. Well, I mean, I've taken exams that had IS to IS on it. I could not imagine doing an entire exam dedicated to
that's
IS
incredible.
to IS. So congratulations, Dub Jeezy. A young man, not just any young man, a young man from the Discord, accepted a new position as an IT analyst.
Very nice.
A personal win. I love this. I love it when I see it's always, of course, great to see people pass exams and shout out, hey, I got my CCNA, whatever they did, whatever they passed. But I love the personal stuff. And so this week I'm very excited to announce that our friend M. Kutka got married.
Yes.
Hey.
Yeah. And you know what? he's been sharing photos of his honeymoon and like the beautiful place. I think he's like,
he's in the
Maldives or something like
Maldives,
that.
right?
Oh man,
Yeah,
unbelievable!
I gotta go there. Did you see the picture of him in his Art of Network Engineering shirt?
Yeah. He's like
reading, Make It Stick.
Yeah.
Hey, hang on. Was he the one that remotely took us to a wedding during one of our happy hours?
Yes.
That was his wedding?
Yeah.
It wasn't his wedding.
Somebody.
I think he neglected to bring up that he was getting married like 2 weeks later.
That was hilarious
Minor
because we're on the
detail.
happy hour and all of a sudden somebody would just join and you're like at a reception. and he wouldn't say anything and then you just drop. Right? Like 10 minutes later it happened again. Well, that's great.
I think he was saying like his wife got mad at him because he was like, live streaming this person's wedding.
Well, congratulations.
I love this community, man. That's awesome.
Yeah. All right. This has to be one of my favorite screen names here. The ARP of Darkness. The ARP of Darkness passed their encore exam. Congratulations, the ARP of Darkness.
That is a beast.
Thank you, ARP of Darkness. I just rescheduled my encore. I just pushed it 2 months out because I'm supposed to take it in like 10 days, and that's not happening. So
why not? I don't understand. Are you busy or something?
I don't know, man. I'm not doing good on the whole study thing right now.
Yeah. What's a book? I haven't touched one in a while. Tim, how about you? When are you taking your
I don't want to talk about it, AJ.
Anytime I ask Tim when he's taking it, he gets all snippy with me. And he's like, listen, this is all about learning. I'm not on a schedule here. I'm not rushing it. I'm like, sorry, dude. Just,
I'm
your encore, boys.
Just asking.
Yeah.
I'm a free spirit.
That's a great answer.
Yeah.
That's a great answer. Corey Fried it. It's like fried, but with a T. So I'm not quite sure.
Right.
Yeah, that sounds right. They passed their Fortinet NSE 1 and 2 exams, as well as their Microsoft Tech Fundamentals exam.
Very nice. Forta Jeff would be proud. I'll have to
Lots
let him
of
know.
winning there. Lots of winning by Mr. Corey F.
Winning.
Bob Steele passed a Linux Professional Institute exam, so they are now certified in Linux.
Wow.
Congrats.
That's amazing.
Very cool stuff. And just this past weekend, Tech Junkie 87 passed the Ansari exam and is now CCNP Enterprise certified.
Man,
congratulations!
That is
Gotta
big.
feel awesome.
Yeah.
Very nice.
All right, that's the end of the winning segment this week. Andy, can we get another goat scream?
Well done, everybody. Well done.
Now, somebody commented. I read this in the Discord. Like, someone and their coworker bought one of those things, and it's already worn out. They had to buy another one because the battery's already dead because you just hit it like.
Quick story or insight into the goat. I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but this is my stress reliever at work. So it sits at my desk, and anytime I get irritated, and it's just like a breath of fresh air for me for whatever reason. And I have a coworker I work close with, and I sent her one, and she also we goat a lot, and it's very therapeutic. So
goat a lot.
Yeah. So it makes me happy that it now serves an additional purpose of giving people their wins. It's nice.
Is it time yet to name the goat?
Yeah, I think. What should we do?
I'll put a poll.
Right.
Get a poll going.
Maybe have a poll.
There we go.
Name the Art of Network Engineering goat. We'll get some branding going on.
Get it interactive here.
All right. So we'll let this episode post, and we'll let some people listen to it, and then we'll throw a poll out there to name the Art of Network Engineering winning goat.
Why did you guys bring me back here?
Are you not having fun? Is this not a good first 10 minutes?
Yeah, I'm helping you win the hearts and minds of sponsors.
Is that a segue?
It sounds like a good segue to me.
I mean,
well, before we segue too far off, I do want to talk. So today we launched a new series on the blog. It's the CCNA series, and I've got to give credit where credit is due. This is the brainchild of our very own Tim Bertino. So, Tim, do you want to talk a little bit about the CCNA series that we started today?
Yeah, definitely. So, I wanted to start something on the blog that, because back to the big thing I'm always trying to do is I want to do what I can or what we can to provide value. And I think we've probably talked about it here before. We've noticed that a fair amount of the Discord channel is people getting into IT, wanting to get into networking. There's a lot of focus on the CCNA. So I thought we could provide value by really just going through the blueprint, picking topics, and doing a write-up about them. And plus, I don't know what it is about me. I can't do one and done topics. Everything I do has to be a series. I don't know, something about longevity. I just don't want things to end. Yeah,
that's right.
So we kicked it off this morning. I really, no real secret sauce there. I just kind of started at the top of the exam topics right there on Cisco's site. We started with routers, and we're gonna go down the list. I would like to kind of throw out a call to action to the community, that if anybody sees anything on that exam topic list that they want to write about, come find us on Discord, and we'll get you set up and writing in WordPress, and you can write one of these or multiple of these for us. We really want this to be a community effort and people giving back and helping out, and just want to see it grow.
Yeah. And so let me dispel something for our audience. So as great as we're doing, we are not getting paid to do any of this. so it's not like Tim's a staff writer here and has all this time to write an entire CCNA series.
Hang on, you said the check was in the mail.
There's definitely a lot of zeros.
All right.
Tim, Vermont mail is slow.
If you think the broadband here is slow, you should definitely.
They're on mules, Tim. It'll get there.
Thanks, Andy. Anyway, so definitely a community engagement, right? Like if you're studying for the CCNA and you feel like you've mastered a topic, or if you want to dive a little bit deeper into a topic, it's a great opportunity to write about what you're learning about. That really helps. I think it really helps to force you understand what you're studying if you can regurgitate it back and teach somebody else how to do it. If you're already at the CCNP level and you want to help out somebody get their CCNA, hey, come write an article for us on a particular topic that you're really good with. Maybe you've got a lot of experience with a routing protocol or something like that. You feel like you've mastered it. Come write an article. We'll more than happy to share it and add it to our CCNA series. And so one of the things, Tim, that I really appreciate that you're doing is not only are you writing an article, you've recorded a minute-long snippet kind of like summarizing the best parts of this, because it's a little bit easier to record something than type it all out. But I think it really helps to put a bow on the entire article.
I appreciate that.
Where'd you get the idea to do that? It's like mixing, a podcast and a blog article on the same one.
So what I think is very important is really understanding the whys of technology and why we implement things the way we do. Because you can understand the concepts, you can remember things, you can memorize terms, you can do all that till you're blue in the face. But when you get in the real world, you got to be able to apply what you've learned, and you got to understand why you're doing the things that you're doing. Otherwise, when things don't go right, you don't necessarily know why they aren't going right or that they're not going right. So I really wanted to reinforce the whys of routers and routing that I felt was better to do in audio than just text.
Awesome. I think it's a great piece. Definitely to kick us off. I look forward to more of it, and I can tell you that what we're going to do is we're going to put a link right on the homepage to the CCNA series. So if you don't come to the Art of Network Engineering blog for anything else other than you want to follow the CCNA series, it'll be really easy to just click on that link and see everything we're putting out there. And again, if you want to write for the series, get a hold of Tim. We can throw the Art of Network Engineering at gmail.com address out there. Write us. We'll get you hooked up with Tim and make sure that you get included in the CCNA series for us.
Yeah, definitely come join us, because I don't know everything and I'm lazy. So come help.
And I got to tell you, Tim, my barometer for all the stuff that we do is, would this have helped me when I was starting out, like getting into CCNA?
Yeah.
It was a crazy day, so I perused the article. I'll give it its due, tonight or tomorrow. But just, what is a router and what does it do and what are its functions and what does longest match mean? You put a good diagram in there. This would have been huge for me because all I had were the OCG. I mean, Cisco Network Academy was great and all, but like in the beginning, if I read this, I'm like, oh, okay. That's why I love blogs and people that, write it in their own voice, because kind of distills all that technical stuff that just, you know how it is reading this material, like from a textbook.
Oh yeah.
And this just would have been hugely beneficial, you know, for me. I really like it. And, you know, if you're not in the Discord, it's all about the journey. There's a CCNA channel. You can get in that conversation. You can hop on, you know, and contribute articles to your blog. My buddy Kevin, AONE Macho, that was on an earlier show, he just hit me up earlier today saying like he is looking, like he wants to do some like labbing and live labs and maybe pull some people in. And I just think it's cool that different people from the community in the Discord, everybody's kind of, you know, somebody wants to write, somebody wants to lab, somebody wants to blog. It's just an amazing kind of community to watch everybody come together and try to help each other and the new people. So thanks, man. Thanks for doing all you do. The Faces of the Journey is incredible. You know, you're on here tonight, which is great. And I'm looking forward to what else comes out of, you know, the series. It looks really cool.
I will say too, as the articles come out from the series, if you read them, you see anything in there that we didn't get right or we missed or we could have added, definitely use the comments and we'll take a look and get stuff fixed.
Keep us honest.
Definitely.
And accurate. We don't want anybody not passing their CCNA exam because they followed our study series.
Yeah. Maybe I don't want to write these anymore.
Be our first lawsuit. I failed the CCNA because of these guys.
Well, we never put a pass guarantee on any of these articles, so can't hold us that accountable.
Great job, Tim. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Tim. All right, so tonight we are taking a trip down memory lane. This is episode 42. We are crazy, right? I see Tim shaking his head. So if you're not watching the video version, Tim is shaking his head very much right now, and I get it, man. I get it. I didn't think we'd necessarily maybe even make it this far, but not only have we made it this far, we've had some just absolutely incredible interviews. So if you're just joining the podcast, we wanted to kind of take an episode, kind of walk back through everything we've done. The last time we did a recap, Andy, would you say it was episode 10, right?
Yeah, episode 10, and we only had 9 episodes to recap.
Well, it was big. We hit double digits.
That was huge, right? But now there's what? I'm not good at math, but is it 30? 30 something?
Yeah, another 32.
Yeah.
So you guys are about a month away from a year?
A couple months. So we released our first 2 episodes like the last Friday of July last year.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Yeah, it's coming up on 10 months since we started, and it's crazy. I'm ashamed to say I don't have the latest download stats at my fingertips. I can tell you that April was nearly another 10K month for us. We were at just over 9,500 downloads, which is stellar because we've not had another month close to that other than the 10K month of March. Last I looked, I think we were at 67,000 downloads.
We didn't know if anybody was going to listen.
I know, right?
I mean, like when you're starting anything, like, well, we're excited. This seems like a good idea. Let's see how it goes. But it's those numbers just baffle me.
Right.
Honestly, that there's approximately 2,500 people listening to every episode.
Well, it's the total package, right? It's the podcast, it's the content you guys put out in there. It's a friendly environment. It's laid back. It's good conversation, and then you couple that with the Discord community and the stuff we're doing on the website, and I'll say it's not one single thing that really makes you guys rise the ways you have. It's a combination.
The community is big. The community keeps me going.
Yeah.
Wheezy just hit me up earlier today, thanking me for, hey man, thanks for getting Kevin you work with. AONE Macho was great. Seems like a really great dude. Like, I get a handful of these every week. People thanking me, thanking us. Thanks for what you're doing. Like, it's just that it's what keeps me going on the nights that I just might be, tired and just want to go to bed. It's nice to hear that people are getting, something from this effort, because we stay up late, we put in time, we do some research, we edit, we have meetings and stuff, so it just feels so good that people are reaching out saying thank you. It means a lot.
Speaking of AONE Macho, can I bring up the small world concept?
Yeah, that one hit close to home for you, didn't it?
that was nuts. Like I was like screaming at my speaker when that came out, because I mean he's originally from Vegas, right?
Yeah.
But we at separate times we both went to the exact same state college in a small town in Nebraska, and I'm hearing this as I'm listening, getting ready for the day. That's just wild. It's such a small world.
Yeah,
so have you reached out to Kevin? Are you guys gonna like have a Nebraska meetup?
We've talked a little bit. It'll be football season here before we know it. So
nice.
We'll
Now I'm very ignorant to Nebraska. Do you guys even remotely live close to each other?
I'm not sure where he's at 100% physical location. Yeah,
and he won't tell me, so I can't provide anything.
Out Macho lives in an undisclosed location somewhere.
Yeah, we probably shouldn't drop the address here. But.
He lives in one of those like old missile silos, right? That's why he can't tell you where he lives.
He said he'd tell me, but he'd have to come down off the top rope and give me a flying elbow to the head.
Nice.
Any WWF
nice. Out Macho style.
Fans, yeah.
Nice. So let's do it. Any episodes? Yeah.
I was just gonna ask you, since this is your guys' show, can you pick your favorite child here?
Oh, geez, don't make me pick a favorite. There's too many. That's the problem. There's way too many. I mean, Diarra, Data Knox. I was really taken aback when Data Knox early on took an interest in what we were doing, and he was like shouting us out on his YouTube channel, and he hit me up. He's like, "Hey, I just want you to know that like I talk about you guys like at the end of my YouTube latest release here, and you know." I'm going to shout you out. I want to send people your way. And I was just like, well, do you want to be on an episode? Like, it seems like a perfect match here. And so it's been really cool to like, you know, not just Data Knox, but to get to know everybody we've talked to. You know, it's so much fun to have these conversations. I will say, like, when we started the podcast, like I set out to share people's stories and like help other people learn. I've learned so much like about myself, about the community, about networking, like from talking to these other people than I thought that I was going to. And it's been a fantastic ride.
Yeah, I'm looking over the list here. It's, you know, looking at all these names and all these topics, it just kind of brings to mind for me. It's just been so amazing. Like, I'll tell you, so Shala, right? Shala was episode 11, so that would be like the beginning of it. So I'll tell you an insight. This is why I love the community. Like, you're talking about Knox now. He reached out, and he didn't have to, and he gave us a shout out, and he brought us on his YouTube, which has a ton of followers, and he's like, this is why you have to watch these guys, and brought, like, he didn't have to do any of that, and we didn't approach it. Like, just, so Shala, we interviewed her, and she was great, you know, and so I don't know how much longer it was after her episode, but Valentine's Day rolled up, and I wanted to do something for my wife. And we were, you know, we got married like 8.5 years ago. And I've always wanted to do something pretty like with our vows and like hanging in the house somewhere. It's just a reminder, like these are the promises we made, you know, yada, yada. I'm softy, apparently. Sorry. And so anyway, I tried to do it myself and it looked awful. Like, you know, I got our vows from a Microsoft Word document. I copy and pasted onto our wedding picture and it looked like somebody who can't draw a straight line trying to like... I mean, it looked really bad, but in my mind, I'm like, well, I'll just put, you know, how hard could it be? Like anything, right? You're going to do something in your house until you YouTube it. And you're like, oh my God, nothing's easy. Everything's hard. So I remember her mentioning that she was a graphic designer. So I just kind of floated out to her like, hey, I don't want to bother you. I'm sorry, but can you just like take a look at this? And like, even if you could just like give me some direction, I'm not asking you, like, I don't want you to do this, but can you just like give me a tip? Because I know it looks horrible and I want to do something nice for my wife and I can't draw a straight line. She took it upon herself. She's like, oh yeah, give me a couple days. You know, I'm a little busy. Give me a couple days. And she completely, you know, I don't understand the terminology she used, but she got out her board and this pen and she spent hours and she did the most beautiful thing. And it looked so nice. And it's now hanging by our front door, like in our home. She didn't have to do that. I didn't ask her to do, like, these are just all the people that we're meeting. So I guess what I'm saying is I look at all these people. I've learned so much from each and every one of them about them, about myself, about technology, and just about how wonderful people are. Like, she was just like, hey, I'm going to help you do something nice for your wife. And she didn't want anything in return. Like, she refused to, you know, I sent her a little something because I'm not a jerk, but like we've said it before. This podcast got at least me through the pandemic. I'm not going to talk, right. We've all kind of said it, but it was a really tough year, and this was a highlight for me and continues to be. And that's just one example for me when I look at this laundry list of people. I mean, we could talk for days about all these people and what we learned, but the first name, Shala, not only was she an incredible guest, but just an incredible person and helped me out and, really helped me do something nice for my wife, and didn't have to do that. Just such nice people that we're running into.
Right.
Blows 100%. Me away. Sorry, that's my little Shala.
No, that's an awesome story.
Idea.
That is an awesome story.
Yeah. And she's not looking for, just these people that do these things with no regard for like getting anything back. You reminded me with Knox.
Very,
I
very
love
selfless.
what you're doing. Yeah. Just good people. I didn't know this community existed, and look at us now. It's just so amazing. I got one of my names here is Keith Effin Barker. As I was writing the names down, I'm like, dude, we had Keith freaking Barker. Like, are you kidding me? Not that, anybody's better than anybody else, but like I grew up, figuratively listening to him all day, every day, studying for my CCNA. And like, now I get to talk to him. Like, what? I'm like, sending him messages online and he's talking back to me. Like, just blows my mind.
I'm shocked that we got a chance to interview him. It was an incredible time. And I'm extremely shocked that it happened as early as it did. Right. Like, I figured, what did I ever think that we would cut? No, I didn't like assume it. That's for sure.
Episode 22 and 23, just in case you're wondering.
Exactly.
Like, what?
Exactly.
Really?
Like, we weren't even 25 in.
No. No.
Another fun one for me was Brittany. Talking to Brittany,
Yeah.
our network engineering recruiter, Brittany. I didn't out of all the times I've been hit up by recruiters and how pesky and annoying they were, and just like they didn't really give any regard to like what you do today. They had this job description in front of them and just like, throwing and seeing what sticks. And she is not that way at all. She's super cool to work with. And she focuses on network engineering.
And how much value did that episode bring to the community? I mean, she joined the Discord. Yeah. She's talking to members. She's helping, that brought tons of value.
She was a huge supporter from the get-go. She found the podcast very early on, and I think we had just released like episode 6, and she hit me up on LinkedIn, and she's just like, I just found your podcast, and I binge listened to the entire thing today. Wow. And I just want to let you know, like, how cool I think it is, what you guys are doing. And, she told me that she's like a network engineering recruiter, and I was just like, what are you talking? Like, really? That's a thing? But she was just really like taken aback by what we were doing. And it just made sense to like get her in here and have her share like her point of view, her perspective.
And before we interviewed her, I saw her on LinkedIn post the Kirk Byers free Python.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Class.
I remember that.
Because and I'm not beating up on recruiters, but she's only the second recruiter personally that I've had very good experience with. The other was the guy who found and placed me in my current job. But just, a diamond in the rough, so to speak, somebody who's just trying to help the community share information. It's, not the, I don't want to say typical, but, hey, you're the perfect fit for this thing. And then you look at it and you're like, really? Did you look at my
insurance
thing at all?
agent.
Like quadruple CCIE is a mandatory, like, my CCNA is about to expire. Like, did you even read my thing? So yeah, she's just been incredible, and I continue to point people to her because she's just such a valuable resource.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, she was great.
We got a chance to interview Carl, the legend himself, from our Discord.
Carl.
I actually wanted to bring that episode up because that is definitely one of my favorites, and the reason is because I've pulled snippets of things that I've learned, like you said, Andy, from all these episodes, and there's things that really just stick with you. And with Carl's, not only is his story, which is awesome, from driving truck with FedEx to where he is now, engineering and designing and implementing networks, is just incredible. So that just goes to show to his character. But I learned something from his episode that really set my mind at ease, and it was that what do we do all the time as IT professionals? If we want to make ourselves better, we feel like we have to study, we got to get certifications. There's just that load of stress that hangs over you. And when I listened to Carl, it was just so chill. It was, you set your goals, you go out and get them, but you don't have to live and die by them. And you know, he really made me just kind of step back and go, okay, there's more to it than just going to work all day, going home and hitting the books. And, you know, you got to still live, you got to still enjoy things. And that really stuck with me with Carl's episode. So thanks, Carl.
Yeah. and that's the opposite of how my mind works. So I needed to hear that too.
Exactly.
Search stressed me out.
Yeah.
Career stuff stresses me out.
Yeah.
You know, feeling like I'm behind and don't know. Like Carl and I think, got into tech around the same time, give or take a year or two. And I just feel that he is so much more knowledgeable than I am, because I see him in the Discord. He's always piping up and helping people, and just the depth of his technical knowledge just blows me away. And I'm like, how do you know so much? Like we started around the same time, but you know, but yeah, I loved his just chill, laid back kind of, because a guy that knows that much, I figured would be like a neurotic, you know, freak who's been studying 18 hours a day and, you know, not taking care of, you know, himself or his family, because how could you know all that? Like, how did he get all that information in his head? Carl was really amazing. I got a guy on here just to episode 31, Tim Bertino. I know Tim Bertino's episode comes to my mind as just a real... Tim, at the risk of repeating myself, I've just been blown away at your consistent contributions to the community and writing and hosting the happy hour. When that happy hour was going strong, again, second to the podcast, if not equal, I loved hopping on that happy hour and just seeing everybody's faces. And you had a really just smooth way of hosting it, and you would pull in topics and direct the conversation. You know, I really enjoyed, you know, the happy hours big time, and I'm really enjoying your writing now. And the fact that you're sitting here co-hosting the podcast, it just tickles me. I'm so glad you're here. So yeah, man, Tim Bertino sticks out to me, AJ. I had a lot of fun in that episode. Like I admit, like I have gone back and listened to that episode a couple of times now. Like I go back and listen to them all, but I've gone back and listened to that one maybe a little bit more than I should have. And it's not because Tim poses a question and blows smoke up me, and it's just really good, fun conversation. I love it. At least the script and asked us questions. I loved it. Yeah.
At least I gave you a real question, AJ. I just floated Andy some BS.
It's all right. But had you not done that, we wouldn't have a video on our YouTube channel of Andy playing the AONE theme song.
It's true.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
After you won the copyright battle.
Oh, man. It took me over a month to get that video up. I mean, we own the rights to that theme song.
Right.
And
well, I don't know that we own the rights to it. But
well, I'm sorry. Yeah, a license. Okay, yeah, I don't understand that stuff. Yeah. We have a license to it. I mean, we're allowed to use it.
Yeah.
And YouTube was like, nope.
and what killed me is that they thought it was like somebody else, right? Like they took it down. It was
like an Ozzy, like a Black Sabbath. Like it wasn't even the right song. I guess they have AI that just, you know, it kind of recognizes stuff. And
since we're talking about people in the community, I really think we have to stop on Tim McConaughey.
Yes.
Not only was his episode again, tons of value, because he talked about the technical side of interviewing, which I had no idea he had tons of experience in. I'm sure he doesn't want to toot his own horn, that kind of thing, but you need to, because that was incredible. But the amount of time he spends in the different Discord channels, just answering question after question, and every time he answers somebody's question in depth, there's always just this huge thank you. Now I get it. This is awesome. And the fact that he spends the amount of time he does is just incredible.
And there's no ask too small. I know for a fact that he was helping somebody out, like with a resume, somebody who's looking to break in. And so not just technical stuff, like, you know, he doesn't say no, and he's just selfless, you know.
What I like about his style is, like, he doesn't just tell you the answer. Like, he leads you to the answer, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And it just what a powerful way to get somebody to learn.
It makes you think, right? Because this
Yeah.
whole job, well, a big part of this job is learning how to think. And don't just give somebody the answer. There was a gem that he dropped that I'll take with me forever, I think, is that, because I haven't performed that many technical interviews in my career at this point. When he said that the people that are interviewing are like pretty uncomfortable and like want you to do well. And when somebody doesn't, because for me sitting in those interviews, I never considered the other side of the table, that like they're kind of nervous for you and they want you to do well. To me, it just kind of relieves some of that tension, in the future, should I have some technical interviews. They're like, oh, okay, they don't know everything and they're not sitting up on their throne, shooting arrows at me. They're like, man, I hope this person, I hope this guy does good, because, we don't want him to fall on his face. And even when he said, like, they tried to pull, I don't know if this is a term, but he said, like, stump the chump. Like, when they try to give you some stump the chump stuff that nobody knows, he called them out on it. He's like, really? Like, have you run into this? They're like, no, we were just Googling stuff. Like, just to show how relaxed he is in an interview, that, because I get spun up on interviews for whatever reason. So he really helped me. I'm going to bring that with me, just thinking of the other side of the table and what they're going through.
Mansoor.
My man, Mansoor.
That was another really fun conversation. And what a wild background. What a crazy journey he's been on.
I had no idea. I mean, I've known this guy and worked right next to him for a year in the knock, and I had no idea he was like,
oh wow,
driving.
I thought you were clued in to some degree on some of that.
When you meet certain people in your life, he was so smart when I met him, and I had just come off the street as a tech. I just assumed he'd always been doing it. I knew that he was a computer science major, like, which just impresses me. It's like, oh wow, okay, you're smarter than me. I get it, like. So no, I was blown away. I learned a lot about him. I mean, there's a perfect example. I've been friends with that guy forever. I worked next to him for a year, and I learned a lot about him on the episode that I didn't know. It's part of why I love these conversations.
Yeah.
There are 2 episodes that I want to take a minute on, and they are outside of the first episode, which is still going to be one of my favorites forever, because that's where we meet you guys and kind of learn about what this whole thing was going to be, which I'm sure at that time you guys weren't even sure yet.
Not 100%.
Yeah, but it was an incredible episode. But another one that was kind of like that was, I think it was 2 separate episodes where it might have been Dan and AJ, and then Andy and Aaron, and you guys talked about what you did before IT.
Yeah.
And I thought that was so cool, because it really goes to highlight that, yes, the people that are really successful today didn't get born into doing IT. It really showed that you're regular people and you had to go through the motions you went through, and they were very different motions. I mean, that's the whole basis of Faces of the Journey, right? Go to show where everybody came from. So those ones really stuck out to me. In the Cable Guys episode, I mean, who doesn't love a good poop and fart joke? So.
Well, that's apparently what you get when you put Aaron and I on a show. The poop stories start coming.
And I guess they weren't even jokes. It was real life.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's what I was saying about Mansoor. I just assume when I meet people that that's who they've always been, and they've always been brilliant. They've always had this great job, and I like hearing people's come up story, how they weren't always awesome at their job. It helps. It helps me for sure.
Yeah, I enjoyed that conversation with Dan. We were talking small town IT and kind of the challenges that we face working in a much lower populated area than some other places. And so that was a fun conversation. And then I think immediately following that, Andy, you and I talked about like what we did before we got into IT.
Yeah.
A little bit. And then you and Aaron had the same or similar conversation. And you guys got focused a lot on the cable guy thing, because you guys got that in common, which blows my mind, by the way. Like, I think we had a few conversations in what used to be the Slack channel or maybe early on in the Discord, and then like the 4 of us get together and it's just like, oh yeah, I used to be a cable guy. And it's like, what? Like, what are the odds that we'd pull 4 random people together and half of them would have a background as a cable technician?
And then one of them was like a radio guy in college. So like, hey, we want to do a podcast. And Aaron's like, oh yeah, I studied radio and broadcast. Like, wait, what?
Yeah,
Sweet.
that was crazy. He's like, yeah, I know how to do all this. I was like, what? What?
You would have thought we worked this out ahead of time, but we just hopped on like, okay.
Yeah, seriously.
AJ got
That's
it working.
why it was meant to be.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't skip over the mental health episode.
I was just going to mention that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It's just, I don't know if we want to get into the catalyst of what, it's not my story to tell. And I think he alluded to it, but I'll just keep it general that I'm sick of saying it, right? Because the vaccinations are happening. We're starting to come out of it. Things might be getting better. And, 10, 15 years from now, that perspective might even be lost. Like my kids will probably have no idea. Like, what are you talking about? Like, whatever. It's like us talking about the 1918 flu. Like, okay, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I get it. It was terrible. It's over. But
what are you talking about? I play video games every day.
Yeah. It was a very tough year for me, mentally, and I was already taking care of my mental health going into it, and even that being said. There's a lot of challenges that came about. And it wasn't just the kids at home. It was just, there was fear. If I go outside, am I going to get sick and die? It was just a crazy, crazy thing to kind of live through. Totally foreign. None of us had ever been through any of that. And, it definitely took its toll on me. And to be able to, bring that out. And I don't want to say guys don't talk about their feelings, but in general, culturally, at least here, we're tough and suck it up. And I can remember being a kid, my uncle saying oh man, be a man, toughen up. Being emotionally available and, communicative about what we're feeling isn't really a thing that, we're raised to do. So for me, it was refreshing to have that conversation with what happened to be a panel of men and be really vulnerable to the thousands of people listening. These have been our struggles. And I thought it was a really authentic moment for us in the show because, we up till that point, I'm not saying we're full of it or anything, but we're coming on you should study and do flashcards and do this and create content. It was a lot of hey, this, branding, here's stuff we've done. It's helped us. We've been successful at it. Science-based stuff. And to just gloss over the fact that, we had been suffering, for lack of a better term, for a while through this whole pandemic just would have been really inauthentic. And again, I've had a lot of people reach out to me since that episode. Hey man, I just want to personally thank you. I really appreciate you guys doing that. That was huge. I did not expect that. I haven't heard that from other areas in the community. I don't hear people talking about that as much. So that episode really sticks out to me beyond the celebrities of, the Knoxes and the Keiths and all of our friends from Discord. I can't pick one, but for me, just the mental health it had a lot of weight to it, and we got a lot of response afterward. Yeah. And it was a vulnerable moment, I'll tell you, because I remember the day it was. We're usually chatting. We have our own little chat on the side that we're talking to each other throughout the week or whatever, and it was pretty silent the day of release on the mental health episode because I think it was kind of oh man.
What did we just do?
It was a little scary, at least for me.
It's published now. We can't really take it back.
You didn't know how it was going to be received, and God, now we're talking about mental health. We're network guys. Yeah. What are we doing? Will there be backlash?
To speak to the authenticity of it, typically when I listen to not just your podcast but others as well, I'm doing something right. It's I can listen to that and do other things.
Yeah.
When that episode came out, I actually sat down, got on YouTube, and watched that thing.
Oh, wow.
Because I felt like that one had to be, I had to see the reactions. I had to see what you guys were explaining. That one, it hit home for me like it did, I'm sure, everybody else, like you guys have heard. That was a huge episode.
It was different, right? It was a departure. And I wasn't all that thrilled with, we're pretty, I think, transparent and vulnerable. I'm always on here self-deprecating, saying everybody else is smarter than me, but that one just felt different. I'm gonna, talk about, depression and anxiety and coping mechanisms and therapy. That was, I'm really glad we got a good response from that, and that didn't destroy the show. You guys don't know what you're talking about. You're not doctors. I mean, that's, for whatever reason, I was afraid that I just didn't know how it was going to be received because it was a departure from what we had done up till that point.
Sure.
That was episode 30, 29 episodes of not that, right?
Maslow's hierarchy is a thing, right? If we don't feel like we're safe in everything else and don't have those basic needs met, then we can't really function beyond that. And yeah, I mean, like we talked about in the episode, like I've certainly been through my fair share of therapy and has had the other guys. And, I don't think there's anything to be ashamed about. I think the more we talk about it,
No, quite the opposite.
yeah, the more we bring it to the forefront, I think, hopefully other people that listen to it got something out of it. And if they needed it, I hope they got the help they need, because it's okay to get the help.
It felt good to talk about something that people don't really talk about much.
Yeah.
Especially based on the feedback we got.
Right.
So can I just mention Peter Brown?
Dude, you're reading my mind.
Sorry.
I literally just looked at make it stick on my notes.
I'll edit that out. You go first.
No. Go for it. Take it.
I love that man. I don't know how else to say
Peter's
it.
cool.
He was really great, and that, I know I said it on the episode, but I have struggled to retain things my entire scholastic career, way back even to grade school. You do whatever you do to remember for the test, you get a B, and then you move on. And I can't remember anything. And I meet these people that they have all this trivia in their head, and I just can't seem to remember anything. And then for Peter to present this book that Aaron turned us on to, and I mean, Aaron had been talking about the ideas in the book for weeks, if not months.
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure.
And I started picking them up because, again, I want to succeed. This stuff is tough. I don't pass exams. And, so to have the man who wrote that book based on all that science from what his brother-in-law was working on, and to walk us through all that and the flashcards. And I know, Tim, you pretty much have been heavy into the flashcards ever since, right? Like, they've really been helping you, I've heard, right?
Huge. I am, I don't know, 11, 12 chapters, CBT nuggets, skills, whatever, into the OCG, and I've got over 1,000 cards.
Wow.
And I'm going through them. I'm hitting these things every day, or just about every day, and it helps. And it's not just help from retention, but it's help on the motivation side, because it gives me a reason to get started, because I know I got to get through these cards, because if I don't get through these cards, I'm going to have double tomorrow. And it's just great. And it's not only motivation again, but it helps, and I'm retaining things. I'm pulling things from memory from a month ago that if all I would have done was read the page once or twice, there's no way.
Right.
No way.
And that's that forgetting curve that
That's
Peter
the beauty.
had talked about. And I'll provide a counterpoint. I think I've only gotten through the first 5 or 6 chapters in the OCG so far, and I haven't touched it in probably 5 weeks. But I've been making flashcards throughout, but I haven't reviewed them at all. And I can tell you that I don't remember anything from the first 5 chapters. So just to provide some contrast, you're doing it and you're retaining things. I can tell you that just making the flashcards isn't the secret sauce,
Right.
because I'm not remembering. How many flashcards do you review? Just curious on your method, like in the morning. How many do you go through? Is it a number?
It's typically it's the algorithm of the app that we've all used, and it's typically about, with how many I've got right now, about 75 a day.
Okay.
And that's
bad.
anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes kind of thing.
You do that first thing in the morning. You get up at 5, you get your coffee, you start the cards, right?
Yeah. I was going through all the cards at once, and I've trimmed that back because I was getting to the point where it would take a fair amount of time, and I wasn't spending what I felt was enough time on the new content. So I've allotted myself like a half an hour now right away in the morning where I do cards, and then the rest that are left over I'll just pick up throughout the day.
Nice.
So I can still spend time on going through the new content, building new cards, and giving myself tons more work.
Yeah. And you go through the OCG? Like after you do your cards, do you jump into the OCG, or you just? So
I build my cards from the OCG.
Yeah, right.
From the OCG and CBT nuggets. So that's what I'm doing right now, and I like having I usually do with Cisco Press. I'll do the bundle because I like having the hard copy, but I love that digital copy too, because a lot of my cards are commands that are just copy pasted and that kind of thing, and the questions and all that. So yeah, it's definitely a big part of it. It's just one thing about it is it's time consuming. So I kind of have the stress of it's taken me so long. Like I told you guys, I think on my episode, that I spent most of 2020 going through Cisco On Demand Learning, going through the OCG, going through CBT Nuggets, and I'm essentially doing that all over again that I started in January because I didn't retain any of it.
Right.
And I could have spent that last year going through those 3 sets of material, but I wasn't doing the review, I wasn't doing flashcards, I wasn't doing quizzes. If I would have taken the encore at the end of last year, I probably would have just quit because I would have been, I would have failed it miserably, I would have been discouraged, and I probably would have just dropped it. So I'm glad that I'll say I can't thank Aaron enough for bringing up the flashcards, and then you guys bringing on Peter shortly after that. I mean, that was just a sequence of events that really kicked me back into gear and started making me feel a lot better about it. So definitely very cool.
That's awesome. There were just endless nuggets of wisdom from Peter Brown. Like even AJ, you said earlier, like, hey, contribute to the blog. If you teach something, you remember it better. I mean, he had said that. It was just endless. Everything the man said, I was just.
And what I loved about it is that he didn't just come off like he wrote the book or helped write the book and he just knew everything about it. He came off saying, I had to learn all this. I had to go through all this.
Yeah.
I wasn't the expert, and talked about how he felt going through that whole process. And that to me was what was really cool, is he was very humble about it. He was very humble about all of his writing, and just a super nice guy.
Yeah, he was really fun to talk to, and I was kind of shocked at how I don't know, open he was to coming and talking to us, and I explained to him like, hey, like, it's a technical community, but your book really speaks to us because like we have to master these challenging topics, and you really drop a lot of good tidbits, and we had such a fun conversation.
So let's give credit where credit's due, because I forget who scored Peter Brown. I don't remember. Was it you?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
I'm not trying to embarrass you.
I know.
It was one of my favorites, and I mean that's
just... Yeah, it was just such a good book. I mean, Aaron had every right to recommend that book to us, and I couldn't not talk to the guy, right? Like it.
So did you just email him at like info at whatever on his website, or how?
Yeah. I found the website for the book, and they have an email address you can use to reach out to them, and Peter responded, and he was more than happy to come on the show with us. He had to, so I think it was perfect timing, right? Because he wanted to listen to an episode, and I think at the time the latest episode was like 26 or 27, and it happened to be just Andy and I, and we spent like a good chunk of the episode like talking about the book and like the nuggets we were taking out of it. And he listened to that, and he's just like, well, I got to come on the show.
And that's another lesson that's come through these episodes, is the power of asking. I know we've talked about it before. Like if you didn't think to ask Peter Brown, we never would have had him, and we wouldn't have learned all that cool stuff.
Right. So, we don't have anything locked in, but I can tell you that doing that, like reading the book and then talking to the author, was such a good experience. I think we'll definitely see more of that in the future. And, whether we're talking to Cisco Press authors, or we find other books like Make It Stick that give us these really good tidbits of, navigating life and being successful, or, whether it's personally, professionally, whatever the case is, like we want to bring that kind of stuff, because those are the tools in the toolbox kind of thing that we talk about in the opening. So definitely want to have more of that. I
recently reached out to a publicist for somebody I really want to talk to. So
have you gotten an answer from them yet?
No. But I so I don't know if I have OCD, but I obsessively check that email a couple times a day, waiting for like a response. It's kind of ridiculous, because I'm really excited if we can talk to this person. So anyway,
that'd be great.
Yeah, and that's all the stuff behind the scenes that happens. Where there's work that goes into this. I know it seems willy-nilly, loosey-goosey sometimes, but so keep the positive comments coming, because it keeps us it keeps pushing us. We're not doing it for the money.
Well, and you know what? I think it's a good time to mention that we did the listener survey this year. Well, it's not an episode or whatever, but we got a lot of responses. We got over 100 responses from the listener survey, and we're taking that feedback very seriously, right? Because like the people that responded to that represent a really good portion of the people that listen to this show, and so we take that to heart. And if there's stuff that you guys are enjoying, you told us. If there's stuff that you're not enjoying, you told us that too. We asked you about sponsors and sponsored content, and it was really funny because it was like 50-50. Like the pie chart was split right in half. But a lot of people left some good comments too, where, like if you guys do sponsored content, that's great for you, do it, but do it in your way. And so that's been something that we're trying to figure out. And also a lot of people have asked for some more technical content, and we definitely want to acknowledge that technical content has a place here on the Art of Network Engineering, but it's again, like finding how we want to put out that content. We don't want to come on here for an hour and try to teach you something, but we do want to talk about technical topics in a way that is helpful to everybody that listens.
And for me, the reason I wouldn't want to come on here and teach you a technical topic is because that's what CBT Nuggets and INE and Pluralsight, like there are, very organized, very good at that, established, organizations that do that. I would never want to try to compete with them in any way. So that's why I think we haven't presented technical topics yet, because how do you do that and not be, a CBT or an INE or
right.
It's I don't know. It's been kind of tricky. Do you think that was like the biggest surprise from the listener survey? It was the biggest thing that surprised me, is that people wanted technical content from us. I was because we've been doing story driven, right? It's like, let's tell the stories of people and technologies. And
I mean, for me personally, it wasn't a surprise that, like, if we're going to put out a show called The Art of Network Engineering, I think at some point people are going to expect us to talk about network engineering. But I mean, in the more, direct sense, like talk about the technologies behind, what it is that we work with and do, because not all of us touch everything all the time. There's all this cool, awesome new stuff out there. So, having conversations about those things, like, we've talked about automation with our guests before, and I'm sure we'll continue to talk about automation in the future, but there's plenty of room to talk about things like ACI, SD-WAN, and other things like that. But we don't have to like get into the weeds on it. That would be impossible to do in, 45 minutes to an hour, especially, on an audio only format. I mean, sure, we do the video now on YouTube, but we're not, sharing screens. We're not showing or doing demos or anything like that. So to have a good conversation about those is, we'll find our voice, and we'll definitely start putting out some technical content.
And I've half jokingly said on like internal meetings we've had, like, I don't want to listen to a podcast where people talking about a routing protocol for an hour. Like, I wouldn't listen.
Right.
So
like,
why,
I don't
why
see
am
us
I going to
doing...
create it? Well, right, exactly. So we're having these conversations trying to figure out how to do it. For whatever reason, I personally think video would be a good format for technical things, because you can pull in the visuals too, instead of just listening to people talk about dry things. But we're talking about it. And, and again, like, so I don't even know, like, so Tim's here now. Like, I don't know if we can pull in different members from the community to help us with that. I don't know if it just has to be us hosts. Like, we kind of have our plates full with doing this show, and I don't know how we would add, not that it would be a separate technical show, but we're trying to figure it out. So any ideas or input or volunteers who are technical and think they could help us out, I'm just throwing it out there, because we haven't done it yet, because we haven't figured out how to do
and
it.
Andy, that's the beauty of this, and I'll be the Aaron. I'll speak for the community. Love you, Aaron.
Yeah.
This thing is much bigger than the four of you now.
Right,
it doesn't, and that's why I think, again, speaking for the community, you got guys like Taylor and Carl and Tim McSee that are really stepping up, because they want to see this thing be as big as possible, and the burden doesn't have to be on the four of you. So,
right.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, we were approached by some very heavy hitters who have a great idea on presenting a technical design type conversation. And I think it would be great, but it's going to take time and planning. And, personally, I'm just slammed at work, and I have just about enough time to record this on Thursday nights and turn it around for the next Wednesday with editing. So I don't know when I would be able to do something like that. I want to, but maybe if, like you said, the community, if people want to get involved, if somebody's sitting around like, oh, I'd love to do that. That sounds great. Like, get in touch. We can have a conversation. The more people that get involved, the more we can, produce and get out there for people. It doesn't pay great, but it's fun.
Lots of zeros. Lots of zeros.
And the growth is definitely there. I mean, we just talked about it a little bit ago. You still got 2 months until you've had your year anniversary of the podcast, of the Discord, all of that. So yeah, it's only up, my friends.
I think we're close to the hour. Not that we have to kill it at an hour, but are there any other episodes or anything, AJ, that you wanted to discuss or announce before we run out of time and wrap it up? Because I sometimes after the show, I'm like, I meant to say this, I meant to do that. Like, it's hard to get it all in.
There's definitely
I want
to. Yeah,
I want to talk
it,
what I call the full circle episode, and it's the one you guys just released with Bo. And the reason I call that the full circle episode is because the beginning of that started with the beginning of the community, right? You guys started this. You started the Discord as well. You started bringing people in. Andy did the selfless act of donating the gear. Found Bo, and it brings it full circle that now he's come join the podcast, told us about what he has been into before IT, what he's doing to break into IT, the trials and tribulations there. That was really cool to see. Or hear, I guess.
Yeah, and then putting him in touch with Brittany. I kept pushing that on him, like, talk to a recruiter now. Get your name out.
Yeah.
Like all the things that we've learned in these past 40-something episodes, it was nice to have that all kind of in the back of my mind and be able to share it with somebody who is on that journey. Here's all the things we've learned so far that you could start doing now before you hit the market. I love talking to Bo. I love meeting Bo. I'm really excited for him. He's such a good guy, and he's working so hard, and he's got this community behind him, and it's a feel-good thing, I think, for, at least for me. Really pulling for him.
And he's going to be a guest on another podcast.
Very cool.
Is he?
Yeah. So a few weeks ago, we haven't released it on our channel yet. I'm waiting to get a copy of it. So we did an interview with the IT Factor podcast, hosted by Frank. Frank's an amazing guy. He actually just took a job at Panasonic as like a design architect.
Wow.
He's doing some really cool stuff over there. So he's
Congratulations.
like AV geek at heart, but he's definitely a network engineer too. He got his CCNA at 17.
Holy.
Which is crazy.
Huh.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can't tell you what I was doing at 17.
Too many things flashing through my head I don't want to talk about. So
beach bum, 2 words.
Right.
That's all.
So yeah, we Frank invited us on his podcast. We had a great conversation because it sounds like something that happens in their community a lot. It's kind of like this struggle, right? Where, AV is not IT. Well, it totally is. I've held jobs where a large part of my responsibility was also AV related. I've worked, for businesses. We had AV stuff in all the conference rooms that fell under IT to take care of that stuff. I worked in a school district, and large part of my job there was installing AV in all the classrooms so the teachers could use it to teach. And so, for people that argue like AV is not IT, that sounds crazy to me personally. I'm sure that's going to rub some people the wrong way, and I don't really care. But
and it's probably just experience, right? Because before you did that, I didn't know that I had no idea. So it's something else I've learned. Like, oh wow, that totally makes sense. Yeah, it's definitely IT, but I never considered that, until you talked to them and I heard that.
And even talking to Bo in our last episode where he's talking about like all the speakers and everything at a stadium are like IP based. It's like, well, geez, yeah, you got to understand networking if you're going to do that. Then
that blew my mind. They're like running fiber optics and it's IP. And like, wait, what?
Yeah.
I like to pretend I used to be a musician back in the day. I had no idea. There's like, they know more about networking than I did.
That's a heavy technical gig.
Yeah. How about it? Right?
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's all these like little cables here. I didn't, I'm not putting an Ethernet cable in my microphone. So it sounds like they do somewhere.
Were you saying Bo is going to be on another podcast, or did I mishear you?
Yeah. So Bo's he's going to go on to the IT Factor podcast with Frank.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
That is cool.
Yeah. After that episode, I was just like, God, Bo sounds like the perfect guest to go on Frank's podcast. And so I did intros by Twitter. And yeah, it sounds like they're going to schedule something.
That's great, man.
Yeah.
That makes me happy.
I cannot wait until we hear or see in the winning channel when he gets his first gig.
Yeah.
Cannot wait.
Yeah, man. Me too. It's going
to blow up winning.
It's going to be really sweet.
There was a couple more that I wanted to bring up. Andy, I thought your Andy's Hard Knock Life episode was really fun.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
No, I think that was too because, the knock is something that everybody knows is there, but me being an outsider doesn't really know what it means.
Right.
Or what it is. You're there to take the calls, to fix the problems, to see what's down. but to really get that firsthand experience was cool. That was really neat to hear.
Yeah, I'm glad people got something out of that because, full transparency, it was kind of like a last minute decision. We were, some of these we plan out and some of them we don't. So it was kind of like, hey, I think it was just Aaron and I that night, maybe. I think AJ was traveling and, so it was kind of like, hey, what are we going to do tonight when we hopped on? So because afterwards, there were so many things I wish I had talked about and brought up, like, so I don't know. I was beating myself up a little bit after the fact because there was just so much that I could have included that I didn't. So it's nice to hear that, people got something out of it. And Auto Macho was able to kind of come in behind me and kind of fill in some of the blanks because I felt like he really hit his knock experience, really well. He described it really well and what they were doing. It's a great place to work for sure.
Yeah.
If you can get into a knock.
So we've spent some time talking about where we've been. I want to spend some time talking about where we're going. And in a previous episode, we alluded to having some sponsored content. I'm very excited. So I'll just go ahead and announce it now. Open Gear has sponsored a full episode with us, and we're going to have a great conversation about out-of-band management. And hang with us, guys and gals, because we're going to put our take on this. It's not going to be, one of those weird episodes where it's just kind of, you know how normally the sponsored content goes, but we're going to stay true to our style, our format. We're going to have a great conversation with one of their MSEs, and we're looking forward to recording that.
So say their name again.
Open Gear. Super excited. Nice.
You're gonna have to do that during the sponsored episode to make sure that you guys keep who you are.
The goat is pleased with Open Gear.
Excellent. Yes. So definitely. Thank you, Open Gear. The gang over there.
There's some cool stuff coming.
Yeah.
For the community, they have some really excellent ideas, which are right in line with our values. And
right. And I think that was the coolest part about the initial conversation with them when they wanted to, talk about that whole thing, that relationship. And they are just genuinely out to help the community. And so it's just a perfect matchup.
Yeah, I was nervous on that call when we first talked to them. I'm like, how are we going to do this and stay true to, what we do here? And yeah, as soon as we got on, they were just like, we love what you're doing for the community. So the one guy reached out to me like months ago. He was like one of their tech reps or whoever. And he's like, hey man, I just want to let you know, I just marathon listened to like all 37 episodes. I feel like I know. He sent me a video. Like he's like, I know it's a little
really
weird.
cool.
I'm sending you a
That was
video.
very cool.
So like he was just so excited. He had to make a video, which I thought was like, it made an impression on me. Right. And then, months later they got in touch. Like, we love what you're doing, how you're contributing, and we want to help you help the community. And I just sighed a big breath of relief. Like, oh, yeah. Cause I did not know how we were going to I don't want to say pivot, but how do we do a sponsored episode? Right. And not turn our listener base off that, have gotten us this far. So trust us that these people are on point right there with us. And I think it's going to be pretty sweet.
Absolutely.
I have no idea. Go ahead.
Any last minute words of wisdom? Final thoughts, boys?
Tim?
Just be cool to each other out there, right? And keep in mind, watch out for the poll to name the GOAT. That'll be coming
Absolutely.
up. No, seriously, thank you guys so much. I love being a part of this. You guys have given me a platform to write and hang out. And I'll tell you, my blog doesn't get near the amount of views that your website gets. So again, thanks for the platform. Thanks for letting me spew whatever it is I have to say this week. And seriously, thank you.
Well, Tim, thank you. And I genuinely mean that. You do an awful lot to contribute to this community. You might not have like a fixed share on the podcast here, but you are doing so much in the background. You are definitely part of the A1 family. And, I truly appreciate everything you've been doing since day one. Yeah. Early adopter for sure. And so I just love everything that you're doing. So thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Tim.
I was a beta tester, if you will.
For sure.
I'll just throw out the names that we didn't get to as honorable mentions. Don't take that the wrong way. Everybody was fantastic, but I don't want to leave anybody out. Matt Ule, good old Matt, our drummer buddy, was awesome. It was great getting to talk to him. I've watched way too many of his drumming videos. I really enjoy them. Zig was a great contributor, came on and talked about design, which Zig, I know nothing about design, and I was able to learn things.
Zig's doing a really great network design course. So if you want to get into network design, he's going to be offering his very own course. You can sign up for it, take it, and it'll really teach you how to be a good network designer, as well as like a lot of what goes into network design, like, you know, taking in business considerations, you know, actual like best practices, and then, you know, talking when best practice might not always be what's best for the business. So it's going to be really good stuff.
I never thought
it is live and consumable now.
Okay.
Perfect. Nice. Hey, all right.
I'll probably be taking it. I never thought design would be a path I'd go down, but in my newish role, we're all basically designing stuff and like architect level people. And I'm like, oh, like I need to learn design. So, you know, Australian Dan Tetechny.
Yes, Daniel Tetechny. Yep.
Tetechny. He was fantastic. He was great. Again, learned so much from him. You know, he's the automation guru and just such a nice guy. And he gave me a lot of really great tips on, you know, on trying to get started, because in typical me fashion, I'm like, I don't understand things, and how are you doing it? And I'm going to lose my job, and what do I do? And I think he even has a course you can take. It's like, you know, automation for dummy Andy, and you get in there. Jeff Clark, Forta Jeff.
Yes, Forta Jeff.
Big fan of Forta Jeff. He was a great guest. I really enjoyed listening to him. He's the only other SE I think we've talked to besides Aaron, and I just learned a lot about the SE role. Every SE I talk to makes me want to be an SE, so keep them coming, AJ. And last but not least, I have Bart Castle - Cloud God. That's what I wrote down online. So, you know, he was so full of information and so entertaining. I mean, he was 2 episodes, 37 and 38, and just what an interesting guy. Such a cool, just besides tech, like he lived in that Inuit hut, whatever it's called.
Yeah,
and
I now know what a yurt is.
Yurt, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Bart.
Yeah.
Such a neat guy, and he's traveled all over the place. And he does that. He makes music, and he just what a neat guy. And I learned so much from him about cloud. I've been involved in cloud, at work, and I learned more talking to him in 2 hours about cloud than in the past 6 or 8 months trying to figure it out, you know, what we're doing, where I'm at. So just what a great guy. So I just wanted to give everybody their due. Thank you, everybody, for coming on, for your time, for your contributions. We really appreciate it. I'm really looking forward to what's ahead. I guess that's all I got. Just thanks to everybody in the community. It's just I really love this podcast and the community that AJ built, that we're all contributing to. And it's just, I said it before, I'll say it again. It's a highlight of my week. And, you know, I signed into that Discord server way more than I should. If I may be working and I need a mental health break, and I'm like, let's see what's going on in the Home Lab channel. Oh, that's good. And what's going on over here? It's nice just to pop in and see what people are talking about. And every once in a while I try to, contribute something. So it's good stuff.
Well, if you're just joining us, thank you for listening. And we hope this episode encourages you to go back in time and listen to a few of our other episodes. If you've been with us since day one, thank you so much for being a supporter. You're likely in the Discord channel. If you're not, please join today. A lot of people ask me, like, hey, where can I get a link? Well, it's pinned on my Twitter profile page. At the bottom of every show notes, there are several links, one of the which is you can go and join the Discord channel. And it's definitely pinned at the bottom of our homepage, artofnetworkengineering.com. So if you're not already in the Discord, please join. Come hang with us. Come study with us. Come contribute and help out to the community, whether you want to give help or get help. This is the place for you. So thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week. Hey everyone, this is AJ. If you like what you heard today, then make sure you subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcatcher. Smash that bell icon to get notified of all of our future episodes. Also, follow us on Twitter and Instagram. We are at artofneteng. That's artofneteng. You can also find us on the web at artofnetworkengineering.com, where we post all of our show notes. You can read blog articles from the co-hosts and guests, and also a lot more news and info from the networking world. Thanks for listening.